And welcome into Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday evening as we are broadcasting once again here out of the Hoopsville studios in the greater Baltimore area. Hope you're enjoying your day, your weekend. Plenty of basketball to talk about around Division III. We have lots of guests to talk about. Certainly plenty to cover as we are midway through January and midway through the 2013-14 basketball season. And we know pretty much teams are on top. Some teams are starting to show signs of struggle. Certainly not everyone's going to go out unscathed, though Wisconsin-Stevens Point on the men's side and DePaul on the women's side still undefeated. By the way, DePaul on the women's side, I don't know when they're going to get beat. There's been a poll in the top 25 or on d3hoops.com alluding to such, and when you think they're going to get beat, and I really just don't know when this season they're going to get beat. Wisconsin-Stevens Point still playing good basketball. Those had a battle against Stout. Of course, that game on the road. Stout, a good team, though, but kind of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type. You just never know who you're going to get on any given night for Stout, but Stevens Point survives there. Illinois Wesleyan, by the way, taking their first loss in conference play, losing to Augustana, who then in turn lost to Wheaton as the CCIW turns, as it were. No surprises there. I mean, granted, Illinois Wesleyan went to the very last game of the regular season last year before suffering their first loss in conference play. This year, that will not be the case. But again, Illinois Wesleyan losing to Augustana, who then lost to Wheaton. By the way, before I go any further, Coach Gray at Augustana, hearts go out to him and his family on the recent passing of his father. We certainly send our very best to him. We were hoping to have him on the show, but per that news, we are not a priority, and we will get him on a show another time, but our best to him and to the family. Lots to talk about. I mean, look at the NESCAC. They start conference play, and we already have questions. Williams went 1-1 on the weekend. Middlebury barely went 1-1. They barely survived today against Tufts after losing to Bates earlier yesterday or 2 days ago. So, NESCAC up in the air on the men's side of things. Some other conferences, some surprising results early on this week. Others pretty much standard operating procedure, as it were. So lots to cover on this show. We also have a major announcement we'll talk about in just a few minutes. If you're watching the show, you can tune in to us via our page, obviously, but you can also interact with us on social media, Twitter at D3Hoopsville and hashtag Hoopsville. You can also go to email hoopsville@d3hoops.com or Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. Those are the ways to interact with us. We certainly hope you will take advantage of those opportunities. You may notice if you didn't tune in on Thursday to the show, we made some changes to our streaming provider. As a result, our chat room has, quote-unquote, disappeared, but that's certainly not the end of our world. We're working. We had a chat room way back in the day before we joined the other streaming provider. I got to go dig that one up and see if we can kind of bring that back into the equation again for those who like the chat room. But, of course, you do have Twitter at D3Hoopsville. Of course, we really encourage you to use the hashtag Hoopsville. If you'll notice on the D3 Hoops page where you're watching this broadcast over here on your right, you will notice a window that basically says Hoopsville on it. We're using the hashtag there to keep up the conversation, so we encourage you to use that as well. Of course, facebook.com/Hoopsville. We certainly would love to hear from you there as well. And, of course, you can email. We already have an email for one of our guests from Appleton Rocks. We will get to that question. Appleton Rocks, you're going to have to wait a while. Coach Grash from St. Norbert is on the show much later in the program, but we will talk to him about his team and get Appleton Rock's question in there as well. Now let's talk about who's going to be on the show tonight. A reminder that on Sundays we talk about the Northeast, the Central. We're going to officially call it the Central, though it is still on the men's side, the Midwest for one more year. But the Central Midwest region, the Atlantic and the South, and really the South, something I've neglected to mention the last couple of times on the show. South, we kind of split really into two because for some teams it's easy to come on the show on Sundays. For some teams it is not. So we'll feature those on Thursdays, for example, those who have to travel in the SCAC and the SAA. Sometimes Sunday is not the best day to get them on the show. So sometimes we'll have guests like Colorado College, for example. Last Thursday was on the show. We considered them West Region because I think they technically are, but are moving into the South. I got to go read the handbook to see if they officially moved in this year or they move in next year. So anyway, that's what we cover. We also have the Coaches Corner as well. So guests tonight, we're going to be talking about milestones and success, starting with our milestone, the big one, Scranton's women's basketball coach Mike Strong winning game number 800 in his career. That is spectacular. He has not even coached 1,000 games, people. He is 800 and 180 in his career. We will talk to Coach Mike Strong on this accomplishment, which timed out perfectly for Alumni Weekend, which for the Lady Royals is a big deal. They've had some really good teams. They got another good team this year. We'll talk to Coach Mike Strong about that accomplishment and tip our hat to him, as well. Then we'll talk to Wellesley's Jennifer Kroll. Believe it or not, the Blue are out to a 10-2 start. I was looking back the last time, I don't know if they started 10-2, but the last time they had this successful a season that this would look like it could lead to was back in 2000, 2001. Yes, they were above 500 last year, but that was the last time that they really had this big a season. And we're going to talk to Coach Kroll about that. About the season and what this means to Wellesley in the new MAC race. Albertus Magnus' men's basketball coach Mitch Oliver will join us, staying in the Northeast region. We'll talk to Coach Oliver about the significance that Albertus Magnus being 10-1. Again, in a conference that not everybody respects a lot. Of course, I think it's Joseph's is sitting right behind them, undefeated in the conference, but at 500 overall. So we'll talk to Coach there about Albertus Magnus's chances here, and really, and more importantly, we've seen them quote unquote break through into the NCAA tournament and all that. Can they make that next evolutionary breakthrough? As it were. We'll talk to Coach about that. Virginia Wesleyan's Dave Macedo, speaking of milestones, won number 300 last night against Randolph. His team certainly playing good basketball yet again. He has won all 300 as the Marlins head coach. We will talk to Coach Macedo, who is a Wilkes graduate, about that and his run and success, etc. SUNY Purchase's men's basketball, Jeff Charney will join us here, or Chaney, I should say, Jeff Chaney, talk about the team. And can they rise, as I said in my tweet earlier, above the skyline? This is another one of those teams that does really well in conference, but then gets to the NCAA tournament. We're waiting for them to take the next step. Can Purchase College take that next step? We'll talk to Coach Jeff Chaney about that. Of course, his son, Chad Chaney, associate head coach there as well. And then St. Norbert's men's basketball coach, Gary Grash, will join us on the show. We will talk to him. Looking forward to hearing from him about how his program is doing. They're in a tough Midwest region, and of course, what's even more impressive for them is they're also in what looks like going to be a dogfight, maybe for their conference title for the second year in a row. We'll talk to him about how the Midwest Conference is shaping up, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all of our guests coming up here tonight. We certainly hope you'll tune in and enjoy the show along the way. If you have any questions for us, again, Twitter at D3Hoopsville and hashtag Hoopsville. You can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville or email us at hoopsville@d3hoops.com. Now to the big announcement. If you did not notice on Twitter earlier today, we now have a blog up. We are going out and doing something a little bit differently. We are actually asking you to fundraise or be fundraisers for the show, or really, I should say, contribute to the show. This is not something that's easy for me to do. I don't ask for help all that often. The show's not in any major jeopardy, as it were, but what we'd like to do with the show, what you have been wondering we could do with the show, which includes upgrades to technology. You'll notice the camera is flickering a little bit. I got an email earlier this week from a Amherst women's basketball former parent, basically telling me I don't have to apologize about the camera, and I certainly appreciate his point of view on that. but you'll notice the camera is breaking up. That's because our computer, after 5+ years now of use, is showing its age a little bit. It's in great shape, believe it or not, but for production needs, it is not holding up water. If you notice the first couple of shows we had this season, we had a lot of trouble. We need to upgrade those kinds of things. We need to upgrade our equipment. We want to improve our equipment, improve our technology. It would be great maybe someday to have coaches on air with us via a webcam, and that is certainly capable of being done. We don't have the financial capabilities of pulling that off just yet. We'd like to travel with the show and certainly go to other places besides just the Final Four and championship locations. That's a cost that we can't afford at this time. We're certainly looking into trying and doing that more often. As a result, over the years, I've talked to many people, and they've stated flat out, why don't you, ask for those to contribute to the show? And it's not something I've been all that comfortable doing, not in a bad way, just, okay, but what do we really do? Well, it turns out what we really do is we try it. And so we have started a fundraiser as of today. It will be in place for the next 4 weeks. It will wrap up on February 9th, which is 4 weeks from today. We have a lofty goal, though I think it's something we can reach. There is plenty more information on it on a special blog that we put together. If you notice where I put my brackets out, or my poll, I should say, for the top 25, it is there on the D3 blogs. Feel free to check that out and read through that. At the same time, we have a link to the fundraising page, which is through Indiegogo.com. And we have already received a few donations as of today, and I certainly want to thank them, and I will in a minute. Let me give you a brief idea. By the way, on the blog and through the website, you can get an idea of what we are looking to do with any of the money that is accrued through this system. First and foremost, if we don't use money, it will be banked. We are not necessarily a not-for-profit, but we don't have any plans to technically profit from this endeavor. We want to put the money to best use as best as possible. And so you can read through and find out all the ways that you can contribute. Now, I'll be flat out honest. I understand that not everybody can contribute, especially in these hard times economically. Certainly am not anticipating everybody able to do so. If you want to continue watching the show, we're not going to penalize you for that in any way, shape, or form. I did make a reference on one of the scenarios. It's kind of like PBS. You contribute, we spend wisely, and we provide much more than you expect from us or your contribution. If you can't actually financially contribute, if there's other ways you would like to try and donate, please let us know, or at least spread the word. Social media is a powerful thing. So, share it through Facebook, Twitter. Don't forget email, whatever you want to do to anybody you think would be willing to step up and make an impact on us. We would certainly appreciate it. The big question I know many may have, well, is this something we were going to do in the future? Yes, I think it will be. I think we'll maybe do something on a yearly basis, maybe not being asking for as much as we are this time around. We kind of want to get a base of things. We also have gotten contributions from others like the National Association of Basketball Coaches and, of course, D3Hoops.com. Those contributions over the years have been invaluable and more than just financial. Those contributions will most likely continue as well. We are trying to make things better and do more things with this show. And I've been told on more than one occasion that there are people out there who would be willing to contribute at least to us and even the bigger network, as it were. And so we are finally deciding to get off the schneid, as it were, and see what you would see if there are people out there who are willing to do so. Let me first and foremost say, if you contribute at least $10, we will recognize you on a special contributors page on our website, d3hoopsville.com. If you contribute at least $25, not only will you be recognized on that contributors page, we'll also publicly thank you on a future Hoopsville show. Right here, we will publicly thank you for your donation. The first 15 to contribute at least $50, we will recognize you as on the contributors page. We'll publicly thank you, and we will send you a Hoopsville t-shirt, much like the one I'm wearing tonight. The design might be a little bit different. I don't know. We're looking to make new ones. But you'll notice Hoopsville there. It's got the website on the back. It has a little saying. I know we've had some people wondering why we don't sell the shirts. That will be something we will do down the road as well. So the first 15 to contribute will get the opportunity to get a public thank you on the page, a public thank you on the show, and then again, a Hoopsville t-shirt. Also, the first 15 to contribute, ignore the phone here for now, first 15 to contribute get at least $100. They will recognize on the contributors page, a public thank you on the show, the Hoopsville t-shirt, and I will wear your school's shirt on the show while also interviewing the men's and women's basketball coach of your choosing, most likely your school. So I will wear your school's shirt and interview your said coach. Doesn't matter what their record is, doesn't matter what they're doing this season. That is my thank you to you for contributing at least $100. And if the first 10 to contribute $250 will get all of that, and you'll get a chance to appear here on the show to talk about your team and why you love Division III basketball. All of those prizes will be given, perks I should say, will be given out before the end of the basketball season. So please consider those when you decide to make your donation. We certainly appreciate it. By the way, 2 of the what we call the $100 perk, the slam dunk, have been claimed already. There are 13 remaining. On that note, and not to be quick, we'll talk about it more down the road. We're going to take a break, and when we return, we'll be talking to women's basketball coach Mike Strong from Scranton. Again, his women's basketball team wins again. He wins number 800. We will talk to him about that incredible milestone when we continue here on Hoopsville. Presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. We'll be back right after this.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Division III schools offer academic scholarships instead of athletic scholarships. This really puts the focus that the student athlete needs to maintain that GPA.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III. A lot of people pick schools just based on the sport and get that experience.
Being a Division III athlete and developing my leadership skills has definitely put my name out there and helped me get more recognition on campus, but more recognition nationwide. I did win the Jostens Trophy, which is based on leadership, academics, and then how well you do on the court.
I'm also the Schwartz Scholar of my class. Schwartz Scholarship is basically a scholarship that is given to a student who's identified as a likely leader.
At the end of the day, it won't matter how they play on the field, it will matter how they do in the classroom.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday evening as we continue on with our usual Sunday and Thursday schedule. Don't forget Sundays and Thursdays, 7 and 9 Eastern time here on Hoopsville. And we talk to, on Sundays, primarily the Northeast, Central / Midwest, the Atlantic, South regions, along with our Coaches Corner. Of course, we also talk to guests who have a different reason to be on the show. We'll get to that in just a second. But if you have any questions for us, email us at hoopsville@d3hoops.com. You can also on Twitter at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Don't forget also on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. One of those reasons you might talk to a coach who doesn't necessarily stick to the region that you're covering that weekend is when they make a major milestone or hit those marks. And for us, that one is an easy decision this week. Joining us on the Hoopsville hotline is Coach Mike Strong from Scranton. The Lady Royals win last night. He now has win number 800. Coach, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Incredible mark, to say the least. 800 wins. You've only lost 180 games, which is an incredible winning percentage of something like 816 or 81-6, I should say. Of course, you beat a really tough Juniata squad to get this one and pretty much put this game out of reach early last night. But you're only you're the first women's basketball coach in Division III to hit 800. Of course, you're the second Division III coach overall to hit it. Glenn Robinson down at Franklin and Marshall is about 61 wins ahead of you. I should point out, interestingly enough, it must be a Pennsylvania water thing.
Well, I actually know Glenn pretty well. We were in graduate school together. He had a GA-ship at Westchester, and I was teaching at Abington and was going in for night classes, so I got to know him then. And if you remember, I was with the men's program for 7 years.
Yeah.
So we were there. So, tell Glenn I'm itching up on him now, but he's got a few more years in coaching than I do. I think I did it quicker than he did.
I think you might have. You're right. You might have gotten there.
I'm just kidding.
But you're the 10th women's basketball in all NCAA divisions to hit the 800 mark. Of course, we're talking about the likes of Pat Summit,
right,
and Gino Ariana and Vivian Stringer at Rutgers, and of course others that have certainly hit this plateau and have been the who's who in the coaching fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the first in Division III. What does that mean, do you think?
Well, it means a tremendous amount to me. Obviously, I've had time to reflect upon this, not since we hit 800, but as we're leading up to 800. Coincidentally, I know the other coaches. I know the leaders in Division II and Division, Division II men's and women's, and so it's kind of unique. And I realize now that we've hit a unique plateau, and I'm pretty much a basic fundamental guy. A lot of credit goes to the assistant coaches and mostly to the players, obviously. But we have an excellent university, and it attracts a very high level student, and therefore, and then program attracts a high level kid to the program. Some kids who maybe could go Division I don't want to because of that whole thing of the major, and I've had a lot of kids who are pre-med and physical therapy, occupational therapy, and nursing majors. So I'm coaching a pretty high level kid.
You absolutely are. Of course, you're in an area with a ton of great basketball, not only just immediately in the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area, but of course in Pennsylvania, and you're in the Landmark Conference, which has some pretty good teams as well. Of course, this was a landmark win. Interestingly enough, coincidentally enough, it was on alumni night, so plenty of fans there to support you. You don't want to ever time it. I don't think you figured you'd have two losses so that you would get 800 exactly on this day. But what did it mean to win 800 in that atmosphere?
It did. It became the question mark was when we down to Florida pre-Christmas. We put two. Guilford from North Carolina and Gettysburg right here from Pennsylvania. Yeah. And when we won those two games, then it was I was very, very aware, and I said, wow, I hope it happens then, because so many alumni were going to come back anyhow, and the circumstances brought back even more. So the school did it up first class. We have a first class school. And they did it up first class, and it just meant I'm still on a high. It just meant an awful lot to me. There were an awful lot of players, and their spouses and their kids and parents and everybody else who contributes to this. That there are an awful lot of people there to celebrate with me last night, and it just doesn't get any better than this. It really doesn't.
I think the last time you and I talked, when it was a milestone victory, it might have been win number 758, if memory serves. I could be mistaken. Of course, that was a game that, for the first time in your career, you were ejected from. They had to bring you back out on the court to celebrate. I think it was against a former player who was head coach at the time. I'm assuming this was a little bit nicer to enjoy since you got to be out there for all 40 minutes.
Yes, and that was totally embarrassing for me to do that. I think the referees were a little bit nervous that night too, because I don't know if I deserved either one of those technicals. I did and I didn't. But in any case, that's the way it happened and the way it's come down. But I know my team played better after I got ejected. They probably had a better coach. I had a very good assistant coach at the time, and so they maybe played better. But this time we kind of held in check. Actually, if you want to bridge the gap here a little bit, we have a very good team this year.
Mm-hmm.
I just I'm not a person that hides things. We just have a very, very good team. I hope to obviously get into the NCAAs, but I hope we have a deeper run in the NCAAs this year. And we have a team that has a lot of pieces in place that, if it's a jigsaw puzzle, maybe not everything is aligned up yet, but the pieces are there. So I'm having a blast coaching these kids.
I was going to say, this is a team that, last year 19-9 was kind of a resurgent back from 16-10
Correct.
The year before that, 19-7 the year before that. Otherwise, this is a perennial 20-win team, a team that usually has tremendous success in its conference. So you certainly are getting tested now in the conference you're in. But back to your team, 11-2 on the year. You have won, I think it is 9 straight, and it is 9 straight after starting the season 2-2.
Correct.
You talk about having fun with this team. You guys have not shied away from some challenging opponents either. What's been the mentality this year, and when was it, not the turning point, but when did you kind of realize this is a team that could really do some good things this season?
Okay, well, there's a couple things there. One is that I have always scheduled the toughest teams I possibly can. Throughout the years when we scrimmaged, we don't do it anymore, but we scrimmaged Millersville and Bucknell as opposed to other Division III teams. So, you have to play really, really good teams. And, again, I'm an Ulster in this, and, Tim Shea and I and Gary Fifield up at Southern Maine, we go back to where, years ago, we get out of our region and schedule the best possible teams that we could, and then it prepared us for the NCAAs. And that's been our MO for years and years. I remember just a few years ago, we were ranked like some 7th in the country of difficulty schedule, and we're pretty high this year too. Not as high as we've been, but we're pretty high. So that's one answer, or an answer to one question. The other is, I knew I had a good team from the beginning. I knew that they did their preseason stuff as good as any team. Well, not as good as any team, maybe, but they did their preseason as good as the teams that have carried us to the Final Four in other years. And we have a pretty good preseason situation here with our exercise science department and physical therapy department right on campus. So I knew, I even knew last year, I knew these kids were going to be good, and the chemistry is excellent. But this year, when I knew what happened when we lost to Cabrini again for the second time, there was a missing part there somewhere, and then we played Kings, and I was really upset, even though we beat Kings and by double figures and everything, and I really challenged them the week after, and they responded. And since then, I'm still challenging the kids every day at practice, but I'm getting a return. They really want to be coached. They really want to be pushed, and it's just a joy to coach.
Let's talk about this conference a little bit, Coach. It has not been easy the last few years. Last year, 4 teams with 19 wins or more. Juniata, who you beat here at 7-6 this season, is not that far removed. 2 years from sweeping this conference. Moravian and yourselves are tied atop it right now, 3-0. Both of you with 2 losses on the season. Catholics at 2-0 and 9-3. Drew's lurching. Hey, my alma mater is surprising me even 5-7 on the season, and 1-1 is Goucher. Juniata 0-2, but still a tough opponent. This conference has certainly gotten better, and it's almost an any given night type scenario. You give me your breakdown of what you think the Landmark Conference is like this season.
Well, can I even go back a little bit and give you more of a history? When this conference was formed, we were in the Freedom Conference for so long, and that Freedom Conference was a very, very competitive conference. We got into the we got into the Landmark Conference, and the first couple of years we won, and I think we won because we had a deeper bench than people. We were playing Friday and Saturdays, and that was really a tough thing to do, and we finally changed that around. And then Juniata got better. Moravian was always good. Catholic was up and down over I've been coaching for 35 years, so over the 20 years, Catholic was up and down. But now they have Matt is doing an excellent job there, and they absolutely kicked our butts last year. So it was a combination of things that Scranton, we didn't have as good a team as we normally have for the last 3 or 4 years. I'd say we're back up now, but the other side of it was that Juniata, Moravian, and Catholic really, really had good teams. Now, we have to see how things, pan out this year, because, again, Juniata's they don't have as many weapons as they did 3 years ago. Catholic has graduated a lot of kids, and unfortunately, Moravian's kid by the name of Wright, she had an ACL, and even though she's part of the competition, we coaches hate to see that. So I haven't looked at it. Truthfully, honestly, I haven't. Other than Juniata, we haven't looked at our conference because we've been playing these people out of conference. Now that we're back in the conference mode, and this 800 thing has come and passed. And then we're going to start concentrating. And but again, just as you said, Drew, Goucher is surprising this year. They're better than they've been. Drew is the word you use is excellent, lurking. Drew is always on the fringe. So it's competitive, but it's good. That's the way it should be.
Coach Mike Strong here from Scranton. The team's 11-2 on the season. He is now 800 and 180 for his career. Coach, back to the fact that you won 800 before we let you go. Obviously, now you're in the same echelon in coaching in all divisions as the Pat Summits, as we mentioned, and others. When you said you got a chance to look at it, leading up and understand the significance. But my question is, what do you think the significance is from those on the outside looking at you? And more importantly, have you heard from those who may have said just that?
Yes, I've heard from numerous Division III coaches. Division I people haven't chimed in that I know over the years. See, I'm very proud of the fact that I'm a charter member of the WBCA. Yeah. And when the BCA started, the WBCA started years ago, I was the only Division III coach that was there. So I got to befriend a lot of Division III people. I mean, I knew Gino before he was Gino. I knew Gino as an assistant coach at Virginia and as a coach out of Bishop McDevitt out of Philly. And so, I can drop his name and actually Chris, Chris and I have coordinated back and forth, and Jim Foster and I are pretty good buddies. So, if this inkles up to them, I'm looking forward to whatever people say back. But it's just it's a testament to our school and to the assistant coaches and most obviously to the players that have been there. I say this with humility, but I say this honestly. I'm a basic basketball coach. I'm a phys ed guy. I just teach fundamentals. I recruit good kids who are good students and teach them as many fundamentals. And if they jive, if the chemistry is right, then we certainly have a good stage in which to present ourselves. And again, I'm throwing a little bit of warning out there. I'm being a little bit cocky and saying I have a good team again. We're going to be back in the national scene.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, Coach. You deserve it. After when you win 82% of your games, Coach, if your predictions are probably going to be much closer to accurate than many others. So looking forward to seeing your team to fight for it, as it were, in the Landmark Conference. Hopefully I'll get a chance to see you when you make the trip south into the Baltimore area. Congratulations.
Dave, that's next Saturday.
I know. I'm busy.
Staying over. you have to give me a restaurant here, buddy.
Oh, I can give you several, Coach. Where are you guys staying? What area?
Oh, it's not Rush, guys. I'm sending the team home. I'm staying because I'm recruiting.
All right, we'll talk
I'm
then.
recruiting on Sunday, so I'm looking for a good restaurant for
All right.
Saturday night.
We'll talk then. I don't know if I can't remember what my Saturday. I don't know if I can make it Saturday. I'll try. I'll see what I can do. But thank you so much for appearing on the show. We'll chat about a good restaurant. And as always, you give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who are tuning in?
It's just that I've had a wonderful ride. I am very appreciative of my station in life. I am really very, very close to retirement. And again, I have a quote from Wooden, and that's on my email about, satisfaction and stuff like that. I've been tremendously blessed, way beyond, I was not a valedictorian of my class or anything like that. So I've been very blessed, and this sport of basketball is been very, very good to me. It's been a good life, and I really appreciate it.
Very good. Well, Coach, well put. Congratulations again, and we'll certainly look forward to watching the Lady Royals this season.
Okay, take care, Dave.
Take care. Coach Mike Strong joining us here on Hoopsville. Appreciate him taking the time to do so. We're a little bit behind schedule, so we're going to get going to a commercial break here quickly. Coming up, we'll stay with women's basketball, talk about success. Wellesley's women's basketball coach, Jennifer Kroll, will be joining us, talk about her team's success so far this season. They are playing very good basketball, 10-2 on the season. Certainly nothing to shake a stick at. We'll talk about blue basketball coming up. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com, the National Association of Basketball Coaches. We'll be back right after this.
I know sports is important, but having the academic part along with it is a big plus.
I've discovered in myself, a newfound ability to overcome adversity at all different angles. At a Division III school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual. The end result in my mind is you just become a very well-rounded person.
Before I came into college, I didn't really think I'd be able to balance so much. It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
With a D3 school, there's a lot of time for other opportunities. The coaches expect a lot of you during soccer, but after soccer, that's your own personal time to really find out who you are and other opportunities that you can do.
By balancing all of my interests, basketball, my leadership skills, and academics, I'm able to better prioritize my life and to manage it.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, on a Sunday evening. I hope you're enjoying the show. We're on the air until 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, every Sunday and Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Got another donation on our fundraising page. Want to thank them. Remember, we have different perks, and we will thank that person on the contributor page when it is set up accordingly. If you have any other questions for us, email us at hoopsville@d3hoops.com. You can also join us on Twitter at D3Hoopsville or the hashtag Hoopsville. Don't forget as well on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. We'll answer your questions as best as we can about everything and everything, as it were, in Division III basketball, and, of course, about the show as well. We are covering the Northeast, the Midwest Central, the Atlantic, and the South regions primarily tonight, though we just got done talking to Coach Mike Strong from Scranton. Appreciate him taking the time to join us, of course, celebrating win number 800. That is impressive by every stretch of the imagination possible. But now let's switch gears, and we'll switch into the Northeast region, and the us on the Hoopsville hotline is Wellesley's women's basketball coach, Jennifer Kroll. The team is 10-2 on the season as they get into the heart of the new MAC schedule. Coach, welcome to Hoopsville.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. It was fun listening to you and Mike talk about his big accomplishment. I can't wait to hear your big announcement for tonight.
Well, yeah, the announcement's kind of leaked out of the bag already, but we'll get to that in a second. But you are not that far behind Coach Mike Strong in the win category, I don't believe, on the career. Oh, I mean this season, the 10 wins to his 11. Obviously, this is a Wellesley squad who last year was above 500 at 16-11, 13-12 the year before that, hovered right around or below 500 for a number of years. I went and looked back. It doesn't look like you guys have had this successful a season at this point since 2001. I suspect that means there's a big buzz on campus.
There is. I think it's been a building process for us. I'm in my fifth year now at Wellesley, and It's 10 wins is great at this point in the year, and I think it's been a long time coming in terms of just building the program.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think I have a few more years before retirement than Mike does, but in terms of this season, it's nice to be feeling good about where we're at right now. Certainly, we hope we haven't peaked. We've got a lot left. We have 11 teams in our conference, and it's a double round robin. So we got started with conference play at the end of November. So we've been going for a while now. So it's one of those things where you kind of, you tend to hit a lull in the middle of it, and we're trying to avoid that a little bit and just trying to get better every day. So
you were number 3 in the NUMAC last season, going into the tournament. Certainly, this has been building, as you've pointed out, but you also are playing with, for all intensive purposes, a short roster. You have, listed online 10 players. Usually, teams try and go a little bit deeper. I know coaches certainly want them a little bit deeper, but sometimes those 10 can really gel. What's been the secret to this squad?
It's I think the first year at Wellesley we had 8 or 9 players on the roster, and so there's good and bad to having a smaller roster, and there's good and bad to having a larger roster. I think we've gotten a lot of positives out of having a smaller group. Like you said, we've been able to gel. The real challenge is just avoiding injury. And we've been fortunate to have a great strength and conditioning program in my time at Wellesley. And I think that's something that's helped us avoid injury. I always knock on wood when I say something like that. You get banged up. You have little nicks and bruises here and there. But we've been very fortunate to keep everybody in the rotation. And we'd love to be able to go, 11, 12 deep, especially with the style that we play. But it's we've been able to do that a little bit in a half-court set and keep things interesting in terms of just being able to watch our style. We love to pressure people, but we've also got to rotate a lot to be able to do that. So you keep people happy. Everybody stays involved, and as long as you're getting more wins than you are losses, people seem pretty happy with it. So.
I noticed one thing when I look at your schedule. Vassar, you lose the opening game of the season by 13. You also lost to Coast Guard by a simple 1 point on the road at their place to start NUMAC play. But when you look at the rest of the schedule, you don't have a lot of games that have been quote-unquote close. You beat Babson by 4, and I think that's the closest I've got. Wesleyan was, no, I'm sorry, that wasn't what I thought it was. So, 4 points is the game I'm looking at, and that's Babson 40-36. You guys have been, at least on paper, in control of a lot of these games, especially at the end. They've been double-digit victories most of the time. How important is that for a team in your case? You say play up tempo, but at the same time be in control.
Well, it doesn't feel like we've won games by a lot of points. So maybe that's what it says on paper, but a lot of those games have been really close.
Yeah.
Up until the last, 3-4 minutes of the game when people have had to put us on the line. And we've been very fortunate in terms of our free throw shooting. It's helped us separate ourselves down the stretch. But, some of those games that we've won by 12 or 15 and, maybe even close to 20, they've been, 6, 8-point games sometimes in the last 2-3 minutes. So I wouldn't really say that we're blowing anybody out. And that's a good thing for us to be in those situations. It's really good to be in that pressure, under that pressure at the end of the game. And we had some of those games early on in the season, and we've really had to transform ourselves since last year. We lost a couple of really good leaders, seniors who graduated last year, Malia Mayer and Ashley Sargent, and really dynamic players. And so we've had to adapt a little bit different style. We've had to rotate some people to different positions. We took a 3-guard in Leslie Leong and rotated her to the point guard position. And she's just, she's done a magnificent job at accepting that role and really excelling at it. And we thought that would be a huge transition and take quite a bit longer than it really has taken for us. And she's kind of settled in, and we've followed her. And she's had a lot of success at it. And it's really helped us in terms of just settling us down as a team. And I give a lot of credit to the players. They've played with a lot of confidence. They've really surprised me thus far this year. I expected that we would finish well. We won 9 games my first year at Wellesley.
Yeah.
But we made the semifinals of our conference tournament. So I think our players understand that it's all about peaking at the right time. And, getting a little bit of postseason play last year in ECACs gave them some maturity in terms of still playing on a weekend when other teams aren't playing and being in kind of a pressure situation. And they know what it takes to get there, and they know that there are going to be bumps and ups. But I think that they've been pretty steady in terms of what their goals are, and focusing on what they can control just on a daily basis and not looking at the big picture too much.
You mentioned Lyon, 15 points a game pretty much, averaging nearly over 2.5 steals a game and 3 assists a game. Certainly has fit into that role very nicely for you. Of course, Morgan Weaver at 12 points a game as well. Natalie Anderson, 8.5 points a game. You talk about the conference, and you've won 8 in a row now. Of course, you're going to take on nationally ranked Wheaton coming up here, who are 12-2, 7-2 in conference play coming up. That's on Wednesday. Before then, Mount Holyoke, and then back with that rematch against Coast Guard, your only conference loss at this point. How important is this next stretch with a game against a really good team in Wheaton, against a team in Mount Holyoke who's 4-9, 1-7, and then back against Coast Guard, who's also right at the top of the conference?
Well, I think, Dave, it's hard to look too far ahead. You know how coaches are. We want to focus on tomorrow's practice. We want to focus on the next game. So for us, Wheaton is a big game, but, after Wheaton's over on Thursday, Mount Holyoke's going to be the big game. So we're just taking them one at a time, and I know it sounds cliche, but that's the only way we can really manage it in terms of our focus as a team. We're just focused on, like I said, having a good practice tomorrow. Wheaton has certainly proved that they're a much improved team this year. They're interesting because they have a really different style versus some of the other teams in our conference. They've got a very specific, scouting report, very strong inside, and have some really improved perimeter players. So they're hard to, they're hard to prepare for. They throw a lot of different things at you, and we're really excited about it. But we're really excited about it just like we were excited to play WPI on Saturday. So that's been, I think, the thing that's really shown through for us is our maturity, that we can focus on what we do well in terms of our defense and our offense, but we can also digest a scouting report on a team that we're going to play that might be really different from the scouting report we had the day before, and not lose sight of ourselves in doing that. And that's one thing that's really surprised me about the team this year is they're a lot more mature than I gave them credit for. They're really stepping up to the challenge, and I think that, that the type of environment they're in at Wellesley academically is really rigorous. They have to handle a lot of different things. They're challenged in the classroom every day, and they bring that same focus to the basketball court. So it's been a lot of fun to coach them.
Quickly about the head coaching and what brought you to Wellesley before we let you go. You played at Northwestern, played for 2 tournament teams there, and won a Big Ten title there at Northwestern. You then go into the coaching realms, and you start off at Ithaca in the head coaching role. You move from there to St. Lawrence. You've had success at both of those locations. And then, in your 5th season, you decide to up and go to Wellesley. Very different scenario. You're talking about Ithaca and St. Lawrence, schools that have had strong histories and been a part of the conversation for a long time. Of course, co-ed too. Now you go to a Wellesley school, doesn't tend to make a lot of headlines, though they've had good programs. Of course, single-sex, all-female school. What was the draw to Wellesley? You certainly look like you've settled in as well. What's the draw to keep you there?
Well, I have to say Wellesley is a great place to work. It's a great job. The student athletes are wonderful. Recruiting it's a national recruiting campaign, which I really enjoy. There's so many great things about Wellesley. We're probably not known first and foremost for athletics department or our teams, but you can't look past them. You can't miss them when you look at Wellesley. We're known for academics, of course, first, and that helps us recruit great student athletes. It's a challenging place in terms of the standards. It's challenging, to continually fight for athletics on campus. It's that's something that's who we are, and I think we're making strides in terms of facilities and student athletes and championships. But it's the path for me as a coach has been just figuring out what I wanted, who I am as a coach. When I went to Ithaca, I was there for a year, and I didn't know if I wanted to go back to Division I. So it was a process for me leaving there and moving on to the next job. And St. Lawrence was a great place. It was a great job, wonderful place to work. It's, I'm from Los Angeles. St. Lawrence is in a tiny town with 2 stoplights. So, I enjoyed my time there. If I could have picked that job up and moved it, I probably would have. But I love Boston. I love Wellesley. I love the community. So being in the area that I'm in now, I've got a real quality of life outside of my job, in addition to a great place to work that I really enjoy.
Why do I have a feeling you were a Laker fan, by the way?
Oh, it's a hard place to be in Boston.
I was
when you're a Laker
gonna
fan,
ask.
Sure.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
That's okay, though. That's all right.
Hey, well, congratulations on a terrific start to the season. Of course, we're at the midway point, 10-2, 7-1 in conference. As we mentioned, a big game against Wheaton coming up. Of course, that one at home, so you get to play that one in the Dorothytown Fieldhouse as well. So congratulations, as always. We do give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you have for those who may be tuning in?
Just, the New Mech is a great conference. There's so many talented teams. I think Babson's run they've run the schedule for a while and not had a lot of losses, and they're still going to rise to the top at the end, just like Smith. So it's unpredictable. It's definitely up for grabs, but that's what makes it really fun about the New Mech. It's a great conference. Absolutely.
Well, congratulations again. Good luck the rest of the way. It's going to be a fight, I know, all the way to the very end. We'll certainly look forward to watching the Blue play the rest of the way and see if we can well, we hope the best in the tournament, that's for sure. Granted, you got a lot of basketball between now and then, and maybe we'll even see in the NCAA tournament as well. Congratulations, and take care.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Coach Jennifer Kroll joining us here on Hoopsville. Again, big doings there for Wellesley, 10-2. Last big season they had was back in 2001. A long way they've come from her first season at 9 wins. They've already surpassed that point. She's in her 5th year. They're doing good things there at Wellesley, I'm sure. Selfish plug, I'm sure my mother, her alma mater, she is proud of as well. We're going to take another break. When we return, we're going to switch into men's basketball a little bit and stay in the Northeast region and talk to another conference and another opponent that is having another good season. You may recognize the name, Albertus Magnus. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. When we come back, Albertus Magnus will also talk more about the big announcement here on Hoopsville. We'll be back right after this.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
Division III allows you to be able to give yourself to other things. Not even just participate in them, but really get involved with them if you want to.
There's a lot of interaction. It's not just sitting back, taking notes. You're actually doing hands-on things and better preparing yourself for your major.
Using a Division III school, I've had the opportunity to develop my leadership skills and to be more involved on campus.
Division III in athletics, affords students the opportunity not only to participate in intercollegiate athletics at a competitive level, but also gives them the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport and outside of the academics on the campus.
And to have opportunity to have time to join clubs and being able to play basketball, it allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday evening. Already heard from Coach Mike Strong at Scranton and Wellesley's Jennifer Kroll to start off the show. If you have any questions for our guests, you can email us at hoopsville at d3hoops.com. That's hoopsville at d3hoops.com. You can also join us on Twitter at d3hoopsville or use the hashtag Hoopsville. We're certainly monitoring those and would love to know what your thoughts are. Also, don't forget us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. Lots of ways to communicate with us, and we hope you'll take advantage of them. You'll notice a new service provider that we started on Thursday. We no longer have the chat room, but we'll see if we can maybe resurrect an old one, as it were, back in the day. We're going to get going here and jump into basketball and stay with the New England theme, as it were, the Northeast region. And joining us on the Hoopsville hotline is Mitch Oliver, head coach at Albertus Magnus. The team 10-1 on the season, sitting in the quote-unquote 26th spot of the top 25 for D3Hoops.com. Coach, welcome to Hoopsville once again.
How you doing, Dave? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well, sir. Team is off to another terrific start. It's almost becoming commonplace to see the Falcons off and taking off really at this point in the season. The last few years, you guys have won 20 games almost perennially, dating back to 2009, 2010. Of course, no one can forget a couple years ago when you were 28-2 to round out the season. Another good start here, wins over Lehman and Mitchell to start the season. You're now getting into the brunt of the conference play and still rolling along with a big win over Suffolk. How do you think the season's gone, though?
It's going well. We're playing very well. Obviously, we're sitting at 10-1, and I'm very pleased. I think my team showed a lot of character. We've had 11 games on the road. I mean, out of our 11 games, 9 have been on the road. So we've only had 2 home games. So it's been a good test for us to get these wins on the road.
I was going to say the 9 of the 10 is certainly a pretty impressive feat to challenge yourselves. You guys had some big games that against New Jersey City. You won that one on the road by 14. You've got some other games in there. What was the mentality with the schedule this season?
Well, we understand that if we're fortunate enough to make NCAA tournament, that we're going to be at neutral sites or basically on the road. So the more road games that we can get early to kind of get us going helps. It's also a lot plays into it. It's also tough to schedule. That's always been a challenge. So if we can get some, and I try to schedule some games for, like we played Jersey City. I have 3 kids from New Jersey on my roster, so that always helps. I have no problem, going to different parts of the region to play other teams. But it's definitely going to help us if we're fortunate enough to make the tournament to be able to perform on the road.
You obviously saw that a few years ago that the road was going to be the challenge. Of course, you guys also took on Central Connecticut State, and man, came roaring back in that one, had a chance to win it right before the new year. How important was that game for your team?
Well, it was our 3rd game in 4 years against a Division I opponent. So, we didn't really, believe it or not, we didn't really pump the guys up to make it like a Division I, type game. Like it wasn't what we talked about. We always say the next game on our schedule is the most important one. So we kind of tried to downplay it. We approached it the same way, with our scouting reports and preparation. Everything was the same. And we really believe that we can compete with them and would have a chance to win if we executed our game plan. So we found ourselves up 1 with about 38 seconds left in the game. Unfortunately, we couldn't hang on, but we were right there with a chance to win it.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a win over a D1's a notoriety type thing, but it's also a type of game that you challenge and see things you don't normally see. What did you guys take away from that game?
Well, I think we can. I'm trying to convince my team, and they're definitely convinced. I feel we can compete with anybody in the country. So if we can compete and have a chance to be a Division I team that has athleticism and size and most of all more depth than anyone that we'll see at the Division III level, I think it kind of gives us that confidence that we can compete with anybody in the country.
You have 2 seniors on this squad, Darius Watson and Julian Sanders. Sanders has only played in a couple of games. Watson has been your go-to guy, over 22 points a game, shoots 51% from the floor. He's one of your top assist guys. He clearly is defensively in there. He's playing nearly 35 minutes a game. What is Darius bringing to the table that is certainly going to be a very much underclassmen team that's got to grow into these roles next year?
Well, Darius has, 2 championship rings. He's been here for 4 years, and he's tremendous. He's an All-American, as far as I'm concerned. He's 6'5", about 215. He's a tremendous shooter. He's a great leader. Now, he's not one of these guys that's very vocal. He just kind of leads by example. He's more of a quiet kid, but he plays extremely hard, and he's always on time. He's the first one to gym, last one to leave, and he's just a great kid. Now, Julian Sanders tore his ACL, unfortunately, in the 2nd game of the year. Now, Julian led the GNAC in 3-point shooting last year, so we've been down him, and that kind of hurt us early. Other guys have stepped up, but unfortunately, we also lost him last year, right before the NCAA tournament against Albernia. We were down 2 guys in that last week. They both got hurt. But I'm confident he'll get his year back. So those are 2 seniors, and Julian's still here every day, and and helping us out, almost kind of like a student coach at this point. He's still enjoying the experience and being positive. But Darius is very steady. Obviously he averages 22 points a game, and he's a mismatch problem for most teams because of his size and athleticism, his ability to take you off the dribble, and if you play his drive, he can bury threes. He's probably had about 10 or 11 games in his 4-year career where he's had 7 or 8 threes in a game. So he really leads by example, and just you can always depend on him to fill it up and get his points. But more importantly, he doesn't just depend on scoring. Okay, he's able to help us run our offense and defend, and he always knows his scouting report.
There's, of course, about 3 other guys who are averaging double figures in scoring. We'll give Lamar Larson the 0.2 to get him to 10 points a game. Of course, Ian Davis also at 16 points a game. These are all juniors. And all due respect to Victor, I am not going to even attempt to say his last name because it would be I'm not going to get it. But
give it a shot. You know what? We've all had fun with this.
Ljuljuravic.
Yeah, well, you know what? That would have been my guess. It's Lujudai.
Lujudai? Yeah, not even close.
Yeah, not even close. Yeah, it's Lujudai. It's not.
There's
not
about
you
5 letters in there you wouldn't even say.
Yeah, exactly. You got 4 J's in there, so I've probably spelt it wrong on all sorts of paperwork here at the school. Over the last couple of months, but it's kind of an ongoing joke with all of us and on the local media. Lamar Larson, is good for a double-double. He's very steady. He's kind of the guy, obviously everyone's worried about Darius Watson. Victor Lujudai is legit 6'8". At one point he's leading the country in blocks and is extremely athletic. Anything him is a two-handed dunk. Great jump hook. He can also step out threes. Ian Davis is a junior college transfer. And Ian Davis and Victor Lujudai both played together at ASA Junior College in Brooklyn, New York. Ian is, without a doubt, there's got to be the fastest guard in the nation. I'd find it hard to believe there's anyone as fast as him. He's a tremendous talent. So with those guys, and I believe he's 2 or 3. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the stats, but some people he's top 5 in the country in assists. But everybody kind of forgets about Lamar Larson. So Lamar is my foreman, and Lamar is good for a double-double, and is extremely, extremely good in the post. He's very steady. Those are the 4 guys that kind of give us this steady production every night. And then we have some other guys off the bench, and we've kind of rotated some stars because of some injuries. Mark Wilson from Hudson Caps in Jersey City was starting most of the year, and we hope to have him back on Wednesday. He's been down with the flu the last couple games. A 6'2" guard, very athletic. And then James Jennings, who we didn't have the first 6 games of the year through an ankle injury, has just gotten back, and he's getting into the groove. And Kyle Wiggins off the bench. Those 3 guys can really bury the 3. Wiggins and Jennings especially. So we have some great scores there. And Marcus Walker off the bench is a great rebounder. He comes in, gets about 7 or 8 rebounds a game. So we have a lot of depth. I'm not going to go through the whole roster, got all day, but we have a lot of depth. We have a lot of quality depth. We like to play a lot of guys.
Quickly about this conference, Albertus Magnus obviously sitting on top at 6-0 in the conference, a half game up on St. Joseph's of Maine at 5-0, who though are 6-6 overall. St. Joseph's has been your Achilles heel a couple times in the last few years, but Johnson and Wales is lurking, LaSalle is lurking. What's the makeup of this conference? What's the makeup of the GNAC this year, and can the Falcons avoid that stumble, we've seen the last few years, especially last year?
Okay. Well, St. Joe's is very good. Rob Senecal does a great job. He runs a great system. They really defend. They're really committed to their offensive system, and they're extremely hard to guard. They're always going to be competitive. Aaron does a great job at LaSalle. LaSalle has been impressing a lot of people. Has some very quality out-of-conference wins. Dave Macedo at Riviera does a great job. Johnson and Wales is always extremely athletic and fearless and plays hard. The league is very good, and any coach will tell you the toughest games are league games, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I talked about earlier, there's no difference in our preparation when we're playing Central Connecticut than we're playing Anna Maria on Wednesday. There's zero difference. We go out there the same way. You play everybody twice in our league. Everybody knows everybody, the coaches, the players. So it's extremely tough. We're ready for that challenge as they're ready for us. So it's a very consistent league in preparation.
And lastly, before we let you go, what's what does this program need to do to take that next step? I mean, 28-2 was pretty impressive. Somewhat of a deep run into the NCAA tournament. I know you guys are looking for more. What do you guys need to do? What's if anything, what's the goal?
Well, our goal is to win our league. We want to win our league, and then we want to take it much further than that. We want more respect. We like to get a higher. If we're fortunate enough to win our league, we would like to get a higher seeding. We feel that we can compete with anybody in the country. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my players' mind. And we would like that opportunity. So our goal as always is to take it one day at a time. But I'm not going to avoid the question. We definitely want to win our league. And then once we get to that, if we get to that point, you want to compete for a national championship. Yeah. It's a dream for everyone. Is it realistic? I don't know. It becomes realistic as you get closer. So it's something that we dream about. We have a goal to win the GNAC championship. We have a dream to win a national title. And I think everybody shares that. So that's the best way to answer the question. But we know that takes a lot of hard work. That takes a lot of lucky bounces. It takes a lot of, luck in being healthy. There's a lot of factors involved in that. But we feel that we can compete with anybody, and, we just want to get that opportunity.
Well, very good, Coach. Appreciate you taking the time to join us on Hoopsville. 10-1 so far for the Falcons, 6-0 in the GNAC. Of course, coming up, they'll have 4 straight home games. They haven't seen home very often against Anna Maria, St. Joe, Riviera, and Elms. Coach, as always, we give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with those who may be tuning in?
I just want to, thank you for having us on, and we appreciate all the support that we get from our followers and our fans here at Albertus Magnus, and we're just going to continue to work hard and try to make the school as proud as they can be.
Very good, Coach. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations. Good luck, and we'll certainly keep an eye on the Falcons as the season progresses.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dave.
All right, take care. Mitch Oliver joining us here on Hoopsville. Appreciate him taking the time to do so. Shouldn't mention just the 4 straight at home. They will actually play 6 of their next 7 at home. Their only road game will be against LaSalle on the road on January 25th. They play pretty much the entire month of January, or the rest of January, at home. February will be a little bit more home and away mix-up. We're going to take another break. When we come back, Hoopsville continues. We're going to jump into the South region, have our Coach's Corner, talk about another milestone. Men's basketball coach Dave Macedo will join us from Virginia Wesleyan. Win number 300 for the coach. We'll talk to him about that milestone, all of those games at Virginia Wesleyan. We'll also talk about the big announcement we made earlier on the show, talk more about how you can help Hoopsville. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. We'll be back right after this.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
Division III allows you to be able to give yourself to other things. Not even just participate in them, but really get involved with them if you want to.
There's a lot of interaction. It's not just sitting back, taking notes. You're actually doing hands-on things and better preparing yourself for your major.
Choosing a Division III school, I've had the opportunity to develop my leadership skills and to be more involved on campus.
Division III in athletics, affords students the opportunity not only to participate in intercollegiate athletics at a competitive level, but also gives them the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport and outside of the academics on the campus.
And to have opportunity to have time to join clubs and being able to play basketball, it allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Sunday evening here, January 12th. We are midway through the season, technically, as teams pretty much played about half of their basketball games. Of course, everybody really into conference play now. Forgive me, trying not to mention it often, but forgive the breakup of our camera. if you're seeing what I just saw for a few seconds, not the most flattering picture of me, but hope you can avoid that and enjoy just listening to the show more than anything. But we are looking to upgrade the show. We've talked about it at the beginning so far. You can. We're looking to fundraise for the show now, and calling on you if you are so inclined to help us out. We'll talk about more of that down the road here with the show. But please, if you have any other thoughts too, we're always open for them. So please share them as well. But a big fundraising effort. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the show when I'm not a little bit, 10 minutes behind schedule, as it were. So because we're behind schedule, we're going to get right on to our next guest. And each week, the National Association of Basketball Coaches, as a presenting sponsor, loves to sponsor a segment we call the Coaches Corner. So it's the NABC Coaches Corner, but we're double dipping and also making it part of our South Region report tonight. And joining us on the Hoopsville hotline is Coach Dave Macedo from the 15th ranked Virginia Wesleyan Marlins. Team is 10-3 on the season. And Coach, you won your 300th last night against Randolph. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Dave. It means a lot.
Of course, all 300 with Virginia Wesleyan. Your only head coaching experience. It's got to be pretty significant for you, not only to hit that milestone as a coach, but to do it with one program.
Absolutely. I think Virginia Wesleyan to me has always been a very special place, and it's just a place we call home. And we've been very fortunate, very blessed, to be here our whole time, and my wife and I and our 3 children. And we're just looking forward to the future. And, we've had some great student athletes and love the people we work with. So it's just been a lot of fun.
The team is 10-3 on the season. This is a team that as a top 25 voter, you guys drive me nuts. Because I'll look at the roster and go, wow, they lost a lot. I just don't think they've got it this year. You did that to me a couple of years ago. Lo and behold, you're right there back in the fray. You did it to me this year. Once again, right back there in the fray. 10-3 on the record overall, which is tied for the second best in the conference. 3-1, a game behind Guilford in conference play. Well, what's the secret there in Virginia Beach? You guys just keep turning over talent.
Well, I don't know about that. I think we've been pretty fortunate. We've had a lot of players that have just gotten better each year out. Our player development's been great. And we've been able to, just add a few new pieces into the mix each and every year. And, that's a credit to our assistant coaches, their recruiting, and just how hard our guys work in the off season. But I think that the sign of any good program, hopefully, is consistent success. And that's a big goal of ours, to be knocking on doors each year and just competing and playing for championships. And in our league, you have to be good. And you have to have a lot of talent to be good. So we feel like it's just something we got to pay a lot of attention to. And hopefully we can keep you guessing out there, Dave.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's pretty much one of those where I almost want to chalk you into my top 20, even if I think you have nobody coming back. You're maybe not even fielding a team. Let's talk about the squad. You got 4 seniors on it. DJ Woodmore, with who many people may recognize the name, is one of those seniors. Aaron Clark as well. Colby Hurd and Trent Babson, but they're not the entire story, certainly. Woodmore's leading the team with 21.6 points a game, but you got a lot of other contributors. You guys go deep on your bench. Which isn't unheard of either. Colby Hurd with 10.8 points a game, and Corey Moore, the freshman, at 9.6 points a game in 10 games and unstarted. Give us a little bit of a flavor of this team. We're always familiar with you guys going pretty deep on the bench, especially in games that you guys are well in control of. But you don't have a ton of scoring that jumps out at you except for Woodmore.
No, we don't. We're still trying to figure it out ourselves. I think we've been a little inconsistent with our play, and especially in our 3 losses. So, we're pretty good when we shoot the ball well, and we're trying to find out, who gives us what in certain parts of the game and certain situations. But, we've been going 10, 11 deep at times, and, DJ is obviously our leader. He's our man up front, and, he's the guy we look to in so many ways. His leadership, his scoring, his rebounding. I mean, you can just go down the line, and he's having a special year for us. And I think the guys are really trying to play for our seniors, and our 3 seniors kind of have played, limited roles at times over the course of the last 2-3 years. But, they've done a pretty good job this year, and we're asking them to do even a better job. And then we've got, like you said, a freshman that's been coming in, giving us scoring punch, and some other guys off the bench that have been, consistent and solid. I think Cameron Owens being one of those guys, another freshman, a real athletic post, Kalen Poe. And we can just go down the line for certain guys at certain positions. But, we're still a work in progress, Dave, and we're still trying to figure it out. We got 12 games versus the ODAC teams to really, start playing some good basketball.
I'm talking to Coach Dave Macedo here, the Virginia Wesleyan 15th-ranked Marlins, who are 10-3 overall, 3-1 in the conference. You guys once again played some tough opponents. Also had some tough travels in there. You took on Salisbury to start the season. You went down. You had Emory visit you guys. You went out to Frostburg State, Virginia Beach, all the way out to Frostburg. That's a bit of a haul, especially if you're trying to avoid Washington D.C. You beat Emory and Henry. Of course, conference play. Lynchburg was in there. Christopher Newport. You lose by 3 to them. Mary Washington trips you guys up. You face off against Ferrum. You put up a couple 100-point games this season. It just seems like there's a lot of games you're like, that's interesting. And then you got that Bridgewater game where you lose to them, and then you smoke Randolph. Is it a little bit? You say you're not fully, the team's not fully in sync. Maybe is it a little bit of a yin and yang? Is it a little bit of a night off type scenario where you're still growing as a unit?
I think so. I think that's well said. I think we're trying to get that blueprint moving forward. We're trying to be a team that we know, again, each and every time out and form our own identity. I don't think it's there quite yet, and I don't think we've played our best basketball. I think sometimes we've shot the ball extremely well this year, and we've covered up some mistakes. But for us, it's really about our effort level, and we've challenged our guys, to have that high energy and enthusiasm each time out and communicate. And that's what really this team needs, moving forward. I think that's our key for us. And then obviously getting positives and paying attention to the little things. And, when you get into conference play and teams know you, it's going to come down to execution on both ends of the court. And especially if we're fortunate to get to the NCAA tournament and, try to advance it. It's all about execution. But right now we're concentrating on our effort level being consistent. And when we haven't had that, the other teams have taken advantage of it.
Talking to Coach Dave Macedo here from Virginia Wesleyan. Coach, what's this conference? Last year, 4 teams make the NCAA tournament. Randolph also has the Jostens Award winner. A lot of attention has been on the ODAC over the years. Yourselves, Guilford has certainly always been in the equation. Hampton-Sydney seems to have resurrected that program to stay in the mix. Randolph-Macon is always in the conversation. Of course, Shenandoah looks good this year. Lynchburg has been kind of that team no one wants to really play. We talked about Randolph, Clay Nunley, what he's done with that program. And it's not like everybody else isn't pretty tough as well. Everyone's got an above 500 record except for 3 teams.
Right.
Is this a conference that it just isn't going to go away? Is this a conference that we should always kind of chalk in 3 bids maybe to the NCAA tournament? And to add on to all of that, is this a conference that is going to find a way back to a national championship?
Well, I hope so, and I'd love for you to lock in with the committee 3 bids a year at least. That would be great. I would think that the quality of players in our league, you got a lot of high-level players. You really do. The quality of coaches is outstanding. Everybody has their own system. Everybody plays a unique style. They play to their strengths, so the preparation night in and night out is brutal. And then I think the travel across the state of Virginia and some of the rivalries that are formed, it just seems like you get everybody's best game each and every time out, and that's that's a tough challenge. And that means that there's no nights off, or you can't go on the road like we did at Bridgewater and be flat. It's just not going to happen, and you're not going to come out ahead. You need to make sure you're putting the effort in and paying attention to those details. But I think the league is. It's one of those leagues you just shake your head and you say, you just got to roll up your sleeves. You got to be a fighter in our league, and hopefully at the end of the day, we can keep, just keep battling, keep getting better, and see what happens come ODAC tournament time, because it's usually a great tournament, a lot of close games, and it's just coming down to 1 or 2 plays in a lot of cases, or who shoots the ball better that night, or who's making more free throws, and the margin for error is very small.
Yeah, well, that's certainly the case. You guys have been to 9 straight NCAA tournaments. Of course, you won the title back in 06 and were runners-up in 07. So you got to Salem, Virginia, which the ODAC knows pretty well. But
I'm glad it's going to be back. That's right.
yeah, I know. There for another 5 years, counting this season as well. Of course, Elite 8 2 years ago, Sweet 16 last year. But I think, and let me just ask you the tough question. A lot of people look at the ODAC and say, this is a really good conference. It just doesn't seem to be able to get over that hump. The last championship was yours in 2006. What do you think as a conference? You talk about close games. You talk about, a ball bounces one way or the other can determine outcome. But do you think this conference needs to get somebody to make another run to Salem? Do we need that Guilford to take that step? Do we need Hampton-Sydney to take that step? Randolph-Macon had a great run last year. But does this conference need to take that step? Do they need to get to Salem to kind of prove themselves worthy in some weird way? I don't even like how I said that.
No, I understand your point, and it's a good point. I think the year we won it and the year we were runner-up, we had some teams that maybe, the elite teams that could advance in there, and I think we have had a lot of parity and really teams. Guilford went to, back-to-back, I think, Final Fours. They had a chance, and they were as talented a team as anyone there. They probably ran into a tough matchup versus Williams. I know Macon got there, the same year they were there in one instance. I'd like to think that one of the teams in the ODAC is going to make that run. I don't know if there's one elite team in our league. I think it's going to come down to a lot of matchups. And, for some reason, when you look at the NCAA bids and when they come out, playing at home in the NCAA tournament is so huge. And I think we've had our chances, but, we've been up at Williams and lost to Williams. We've been at Wisconsin, Whitewater, and we lost to Whitewater. And I thought we had our chances, to make that run and get to the Final Four in some of those years, and just lost to a team on their home court that, quite frankly, just made more plays than us down the stretch. So, if you're fortunate, the years we've advanced and gone to the Final Four, we've had the opportunity to play at home throughout, and I think that plays a huge advantage. So I think everybody's trying to just take care of business and see if they can, get that bid and then, hopefully stay at home as long as they can, because I think that plays a crucial role.
To wrapping things up here with Coach David Macedo from the Virginia Wesleyan Marlins, 15th ranked team in the country, 10-3, 3-1. Of course, that ranking may change after the loss to Bridgewater on the road earlier this week, but the top 25 comes out tomorrow, so we'll get a better idea then. Coach, as you are part of the NABC Coaches Corner, we'd love to just ask you a few probing questions, as it were, just kind of more of understanding who you are and what makes you tick as a coach, if you don't mind. They're fun. They're nothing challenging. But let's start off with this. It's kind of a two-sided answer, however you want to give it. What's your favorite thing about coaching, or what's the best part of coaching in Division III?
I think it's the relationships that you build with your student athletes. I think there's nothing better than that. And it goes without saying, you are around them and spend so much time with them. It's just very rewarding.
What's the biggest pet peeve you have as a coach?
I think that's a great question. The biggest pet peeve I have, I think probably it comes down to a lot of times to get even or get better. And a lot of times as a coach, I need to do a better job of getting better with our players when things aren't going well.
Okay, very interesting. What rule or nuance about the game do you love?
I think the new rule that came out with the 20, I guess the 10-second call, it's relying solely on the shot clock. I think that's a good rule to have at our level and all the levels, and I think that's something we paid attention to this year. It's helped us out.
Okay. What rule would you like to see changed or actually removed from the game?
Well, I don't know if there's anything in particular. I think that every year since I've been a head coach, it's been an emphasis on rough play, and every year they're trying to, reward, I think, the offense a little bit more. And this year, I just would like to see the consistency, probably, with the fouls, the hand checking, kind of all work itself out to common ground, and that's something that I think we all want to see, and we're all looking forward to, and when we get into conference play here.
What do you can say to an official that won't get you a tech, but maybe comes close, but still gets the point across?
Maybe just using their first name and saying, "You're too good for that. You're better than that." Maybe I can get away with that once in a while.
I've heard people say that often.
Yeah.
I think that one goes around the NABC convention a little bit. If your wife is watching you coach, what would she love to see you change about you on the bench, like what during a game?
I think my wife would like to see me probably be more positive. I think she thinks I'm an intense coach, and this is when you're in the coaching profession, your wives are behind you 100%, and she lives on every play like I do. But I'm sure she'd like to see me be more positive with our guys at times.
Okay, same idea, but from your assistant coach's point of view.
I think to just hear them out and not be so quick, and just hear what they got to say, because they usually have great input, and sometimes we can get in our own little world.
Okay. And then finally, when you retire, whenever that may be, what do you hope people will remember about you as a coach?
I think that he was first and foremost, I think somebody who cared about his players. It wasn't all about winning. It was about doing it the right way, and that means a lot when you win other coaches' respect and other players and people in your league that he stood for a lot, and that's something that would mean a lot to us, or to me in particular. Very
good. Well, that makes sense to me, and well put. Coach, congratulations on the start so far, 10-3, of course, 3-1 in conference play. You got Hamden-Sydney, of course, ahead of you guys. That game just down the street before taking on Guilford and Randolph-Macon. To say the next three are going to be easy would be really not telling the truth.
Wow, that's right.
Big challenge for you guys here in the top of the conference ahead as the top four teams will face off against each other. As always, we give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with those who may be tuning in?
Well, you just said it. We got Character Week coming up, so we're going to figure it all out and see where we stand. But just thank you guys for all you guys do, and for our student athletes, and bringing some noise to Division III basketball. Without you guys, we wouldn't have that voice, and really appreciate your hard work.
Well, thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll certainly enjoy the next, 10 days here as we watch ODAC play, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Take care. Coach Dave Macedo joining us here in the NABC Coaches Corner and South Region Report. Appreciate him taking the time to join us. While we're in the South Region, I'll probably dabble on this a little bit more. One of the questions I got on Twitter earlier in the day was regarding the women in the USA South. Piedmont's 10-3, Ferrum 9-0, and Maryville 10-3. Piedmont 4-0 in the conference, Ferrum 3-0 in the conference, and Maryville 3-1 in conference play. You may remember this is a conference that got those three teams into the tournament last year. The question was, could that happen again? Certainly anything is possible. I always worry about, the conference beating each other up just a little bit. I know it's a little bit quirky this year in the USA South Athletic Conference, or the USAC, or however you want to call it, this year. Standings wise, we're in a split conference this year. So Ferrum is on top of their conference right now, with Methodist and Greensboro right behind them by a loss. That's in the North Division, which is a much bigger division than the South Division, which has Piedmont up on Maryville right now. I think by splitting them, they don't have to beat each other up as much. I think there's still a chance, but I think the difference was because of the makeup of the conference this year and the schedule. I think the strength of schedule becomes a big factor. I think also in the USA South, you're opening yourself up to more losses possibly. And I don't know if you can get three teams in, especially in this weird, unbalanced schedule. There are 8 teams in the North, and there is 5 teams in the South. You would almost hope they would have figured that out a little bit better. And I realize some of it's not easily to figure out, but that's the USA South's turned into a bit of a hodgepodge, and how it's going to play out is to be determined. And if they can get 3 teams in, don't get me wrong, Piedmont, Ferrum, and Maryville are all playing very well. I don't know if they can all consistently win the rest of the season to keep themselves in a position of getting in at large bid, if because one of them probably gets the automatic. We're going to take a break, well behind schedule, but we want to jump out into the Atlantic region, and that will mean jumping and talking about Skyline basketball. When we come back, we'll talk to SUNY Purchase's coach Jeff Charney coming up here on Hoopsville. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com, the National Association of Basketball Coaches. When we come back, Coach will talk about the Skyline and his team. You're listening to Hoopsville. We'll be back right after this.
I know sports is important, but the academic part along with it is a big plus.
I've discovered in myself, a newfound ability to overcome adversity at all different angles.
At a Division III school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual. The end result in my mind is you just become a very well-rounded person.
Before I came into college, I didn't really think I'd be able to balance so much. It helps a lot that you have a family with a team that can guide you.
With D3, a lot of opportunities. The coaches expect a lot of you during soccer, but after soccer, that's your own personal time to really find out who you are and other opportunities that you can pursue.
By balancing all of my interests, basketball, my leadership skills, and academics, I'm able to better prioritize my life and to manage it.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, on a Sunday evening. Hope you're enjoying the show. Had lots to talk about so far and covered a lot of our bases, as it were. We've talked Northeast. We've talked milestones, 800 wins, 300 wins. We've also talked South Region basketball. Still ahead, Atlantic Region and Midwest/Central Region basketball here on Hoopsville. We have mentioned at the beginning of the show, we'll mention a little bit later on, we are starting a new fundraising effort here for Hoopsville. A lot of people have wondered why we haven't done this. We'd like to improve the show, obviously, as well, so it's kind of a combination. Check out our Twitter page at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Also, check out the Hoopsville show page for more information on that. We have a blog story about it, and obviously our link to our fundraiser. We would love to if you're so inclined to donate to the show out of your kindness of your own heart, we explain what we will be doing with the money. We certainly appreciate it. If not, at least spread the word about it. We certainly understand that people can't always make contributions of this kind, and any contribution or any support that you may have is certainly appreciated. Again, go to Hoopsville at D3Hoopsville on the Twitter or hashtag Hoopsville. Also, don't forget Facebook.com/Hoopsville. We'll have an updated story on that later tonight or tomorrow on our Facebook page. And again, on our regular website, D3Hoopsville.com as well. Let's jump into the Atlantic region, as we mentioned, and joining us on the Hoopsville hotline is men's basketball coach Jeff Charney from SUNY Purchase, or Purchase College, as they like to more appropriately call themselves. The number 18 team in the country is 10-0. Coach, welcome to Hoopsville.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time to do so. 10-0 on the season for this team. Certainly a good start. I know there's a lot of basketball ahead, so we'll try not to jump the gun too much here. But 10-0, 4-0 in the conference. From your point of view, as we've hit the unofficial midway point of the season, how's it feel?
Feels great. Feels really great. We have a starting 5 that's back, but the rest of the other 10 are pretty much newbies, and they're learning the system and doing a great job.
Yeah, this is a program that over the last few years has certainly been up and down. I don't know how your blood pressure hasn't lost it completely. Not that far away from a 5-win season in 07, a 3-win season in 08, but then 15-11 and 9, in 09, 20-9 the next year, 24-5 the next year, back to 500 in 2011-12, back to 22-6 last year. Now you're 10-0. Is this program kind of starting to solidify itself just a little bit?
Well, I won't take credit for the 3-2 wins. You know, I started with the 15.
I know.
15 and on. So, but the thing is, otherwise, you know, yeah, we had things going. We got a couple nice transfers my first full year, and then we ran into a little slump there. We had a lot of people that we lost 11 of the 13 players, and one kid transferred from the team that lost to Cabrini. At Cabrini a few years ago. Then we still made it to the conference championship, even though we were 14-14. We lost to Farmingdale.
Right.
And then the last 2 years, we've won the conference both years.
So, you know, this is a team that, you know, has got a lot of guys who are contributing. Looking at stats from, updated a few games ago, so not completely current, but you got 4 guys in double figures, being led by Andre Nixon at 21 plus points a game, if I'm reading that correctly.
Right, you're right.
And 15.5 points from Joel Neary, and then 10 plus points a game from Troy Singleton and I believe that is Franklin Mickens. But obviously there's more to talk about there, because quickly I see one other guy at 9. I see 2 more at 7 plus. You're getting a lot of contributing. Basically you got, it's like 7 guys who are contributing some serious minutes and some serious points, who are a team averaging 80 points a game.
Right. There's another stat that you wouldn't see in that particular part, but like going into the coach's log, you see that in several games, many other people have 17 to 20 points as, you know, helping the situation with the scoring.
Yeah.
Because we actually use the open man, and where everybody's got the freedom to shoot. Neri, you did a little piece on. He's almost 7'3" now. He's 7'2" plus, and they double and triple team him as much as they can, and he's able to kick it out and hit the open shot. Nixon is a true All-American. I mean, he does everything. Singleton, unfortunately, is not with us for right now. He has a sickle cell, and it's acting up on him, and so we're missing him right now. We're hoping to get him back in a couple weeks, but we'll see what the doctor says.
That is always tough to deal with.
Yeah,
but you got
Franklin Mickens. Franklin Mickens is a freshman, a true freshman, and he's a tremendous player.
When you look and see contributions like that from guys who are freshmen, from guys who are stepping up in place of a player who's had to step aside due to medical reasons, how good does that make you feel for the rest of the season, for the other 14, 15 games you guys still have to play?
Right. Well, we like to go 10, 11 deep, and we've done that traditionally. And this year, I think we have the most depth that we've ever had. My point guard is Ryan Loban. He's 6'7", and he's a point guard. My forward man, he's a rebounding fool, is Dave Houghton. He was leading for a while in the country as far as the rebounds. But one of my most valuable players is my captain, is Justin Person. And he's not really a scorer like that, but he's just the nuts and bolts of the team. He's the glue that sticks everything together.
Yeah.
And we can't afford to lose him, along with Neri and, obviously Andre Nixon.
10-0, first time the program's ever hit that mark. Not only 10 wins without taking a loss, just to say. It's a great start to the season. This has the hallmarks of being a terrific season yet again. Of course, last year you get to the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, you run into a buzzsaw in WPI and you lose that one. The year before that, you run into a buzzsaw in Cabrini in the second round, of course, at their place. 2 years before that, I should say, and can't get past them. And, of course, then you matched up with St. Mary's back in 2010 and can't get past them. So obviously matchups have a lot to do with things. But when you look at yourselves, you look at the Skyline Conference, you see what's in front of you. What do you guys need to do, or what do you think you guys can do, I should say, that are going to help you rise above, as I put in the tweet earlier, rise above the Skyline, as it were?
Well, Skyline doesn't get a lot of recognition, but there's some really good teams. I mean, Farmingdale and Old West are probably two of the most athletic teams you could possibly get. St. Mary's and Sage are fundamentally sound teams who play great ball. And the bottom level, okay, they fluctuate in times, but we have to play different styles all the time, which helps us. You have pressing teams, you have zone teams, you have the man-to-man teams, and things like that. So that's good for us the whole season. And I think I have the team this year that can take on any style, and that's a big thing.
That is certainly a big thing, to say the least. If you can take on any style, this year you've taken on Becker in Eastern Connecticut. You got a big win over Eastern Connecticut by 6. You beat Mitchell and Wellesley. Those were all your first 4 games of the season. Of course, you slammed in the 5th game, all in the first 11 days, and beat Brockport State before taking a bit of a breather and getting into conference action. And, of course, you've been playing conference action ever since. You do have a game against Albertus Magnus coming up here in late January, that everybody will certainly be keeping an eye on. But when you look at this conference, you guys are 10-0. You have a 4-0 record, and technically because of the no loss, you're up on Farmingdale State at 5-1, along with Mount St. Mary, SUNY Old Westbury at 5-1. Sage is sitting at 5-2. Is this a conference that you guys know you're just going to get tripped up in, and you just need to kind of manage the losses, or is this a conference that maybe you guys can put your foot down on a little bit?
Like I said, it's basketball's any given day. People are hot and you can't stop them, or you're cold. But the thing is that we gave those people the losses. That's the only losses they have. They haven't really played each other yet, and we'll see who survives from them, and then we'll be better served on which way we're going to go.
Yeah.
We're confident that we can do a lot, but I'm not really planning on being 25-0. You know what I'm saying?
Why not?
Hopefully that, I am planning on it, but I'm not focusing on it. I'm going to plan on it. So, but, we'll be fine, I'm sure.
Talking to Coach.
Like I said, we have the size, we have the shooting from the outside, we have a lot of things.
Talking to Coach Charney here. Purchase College's men's basketball coach team is off to the best start in program history at 10-0. Of course, alongside you is your son as associate head coach, and you have a number of assistants. What's the future for this for yourself? How many more years do you expect to be battling it out? And do you think you can bring this Purchase squad, to that next level, as you put it?
Well, like I said, we after that group that left, we lost 11 seniors. We stagnated at 1 year, and now we've seen like we have a program. We have freshmen in the program ready to go, like this Mickens kid, and we have other people. We're only losing 4 people next year. 2 are starters, so 3 are starters. So we don't have to. It's not really a big loss as far as because we were playing 11. So in the years past, we'd lose 6 or 7 kids, and so that made it made a dent. And then now it's now we have a program going. My son does everything an assistant coach can do. I mean, he's really the greatest. I mean, he'll be a head coach someday, a big time head coach.
You're not giving up your spot for him, though, right?
Not right now. Not right now. I may end up being his assistant, but I'm not giving up a spot right now.
Of course, this is like your only college. You're known as the high school guy in the New York area. Had so much success in high school. You then decide to take on this college challenge, as it were. What was the drive to do so?
Well, I mean, I'm less than a mile away from the college, so nice and easy commute.
Perfect.
But so it was a challenge. I just wanted to see it. There was an opening. My son happened to be going into his senior year, and there was an opening. I applied. I got the job. There was 92 candidates. I went through a long way process to get that job, and then everything else is history.
Talking to Coach Charney here of Purchase College. The Panthers are 10-0 on the season, 4-0 in conference play. Quickly about the Atlantic region from your vantage point. Obviously, the NJAC is the kind of the looming beast, as it were. This is the last year of the Atlantic, the way it's made up. Of course, obviously not the only beasts are the Skyline and the NJAC. You also have other conferences like the CUNYAC who are part of this equation. How do you see this region lining up? Do you see this region getting some extra bids that have come very few and far between in the last few years?
I'm hoping. I mean, you have some decent programs throughout the region, and they do very well when they go play other regions. And it's just a shame that we don't get any really at-large bids. I mean, the Skyline Conference for years has been sending only the winner.
Yeah.
And Old Westbury lost one game last year in the semifinals, and they didn't get a bid.
Yeah.
They lost. The other game they lost was to, I think it was Yale, one of the Division I schools.
Yes.
So I mean, it's tough. And then they went on and they played in the ECAC, and they beat everybody.
Yeah. It usually comes down to strength of schedule. Is that ever a conversation in the conference, in the region, about trying to improve things? Certainly next year with more teams entering the region that could potentially do that. But
can't do anything, Dave, because we're locked into 18 games.
Yeah.
So you can't. You have 7 games to play, and where are you going to go really for 7 games? So I mean, you really can't be locked in as much as you want. You go to a tournament, you're not going to get 4 or 3, ranked teams. You're going to get maybe one other, like when we went to the Eastern tournament.
I was going to say, I love how you guys started off at Eastern Connecticut, and then just to double down on the fun, you went to Western Connecticut the next weekend. That's an outstanding browse of the state, as it were, in back-to-back weekends before welcoming
and
in.
now we're going to Albertus Magnus.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, you guys ought to just move to Connecticut. It just make it easier for yourself. Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to join us. Certainly going to be interesting to watch the Panthers this season. You're right about the conference. It's usually a one big lead in the last few years, but looking forward to seeing how you guys do here and how the rest of the conference fares as well. As always, we give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you have that you'd like to share with those who may be tuning in?
Well, I want to thank you for having us on the program, and also I hope to be talking to you in later March. Okay.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. I'd welcome that.
Okay, that's great.
Very good.
Thank you again, Dave, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Coach. Take care and good luck.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
All right. Coach Jeff Charney joining us here from the number 18 Purchase College team, who is 10-0 on the season, 4-0 in conference play. He points out they're ahead of Farmingdale State, Mount St. Mary's, and SUNY Westbury, all teams that they have beaten. Of course, they beat Farmingdale State by 20, Westbury by 8, and they beat Mount St. Mary rather easily by 15. That's all earlier in the season, though. Up ahead, they've got SUNY Maritime coming up here in 2 days. Then NYU, Poly, Yeshiva, and Sage, St. Joseph's of Long Island, and then that non-conference game against Albertus Magnus before getting back into the meat of their conference with Mount St. Vincent to round out January. So it'll be interesting to watch the Panthers. They're ranked right now. Certainly the voters think they're a pretty good squad. They're winning a lot of games pretty nicely. We'll see how the rest of the season progresses for them. And we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to jump all the way out to the Midwest West region, or Midwest Central region, and talk basketball out there with St. Norbert's men's basketball coach, Gary Grash. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. We'll be back right after this.
Division III schools offer academic scholarships instead of athletic scholarships. This really puts the focus that the student athlete needs to maintain that GPA.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III. A lot of people pick schools just based on the sport and don't get that experience.
Being a Division III athlete and developing leadership skills has definitely put my name out there and helped me get more recognition on campus, but more recognition nationwide. I did win the Jostens Trophy, which is based on leadership, academics, and then how well you do on the court.
I'm also the Schwartz Scholar of my class. Schwartz Scholarship is basically a scholarship that is given to a student who's identified as a likely leader.
At the end of the day, it won't matter how they play on the field. It will matter how they do in the classroom.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. I probably should have run a longer commercial break than that. You're listening to the show. Oh, another nice awkward angle of me on the camera that always likes to break up. One of the reasons we're trying to do a fundraiser, upgrade these computers and cameras, but that's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk more about that coming up as we wrap up the show in a little bit. If you have any questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Don't forget, you can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. And you can email us at hoopsville@d3hoops.com. We do have one question coming up for our upcoming guest here via email, and we'll certainly get to that in just a minute. But those are the ways you can communicate with us. We certainly hope you'll take advantage of it. Hope you're enjoying the new streaming partner as well. Hope it's working out for you guys more than anything. Let's go back to the Hoopsville hotline, and joining us from the Midwest/Central region, we're really calling it the Central region now more than anything because next year it'll officially be the Central region on the men's side. And St. Norbert's men's basketball coach Gary Grash joins us here on the show. Coach, welcome back to Hoopsville.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Team is 11-1 on the season, number 13th ranked in the country. Your one loss coming to Whitewater in a game at your place by 11, but you've beaten the likes of Oshkosh this season. You've done well in the conference so far, where you're 7-0 in a conference that, of course, you play a ton of basketball games. We'll talk about that in a minute. But from your vantage point, how's the season progressed to the midpoint here?
Yeah, it's been good. We had a little hiccup against Whitewater, who is an excellent team out of the WEAC conference. We were missing our second leading scorer, Andrew Schwer, with a hamstring injury, and he's been playing the last 4 or 5 games for us and healthy for the conference run. We certainly would have loved to have him against Whitewater. I don't know if it would have made a difference that game, but that was our biggest challenge outside of our conference to this point. And then within the league, we've had a good combination of home games and away games, and have done well within the conference up until this point.
You talk about the hiccup against Whitewater, but of course it's still, an 11-point loss isn't the end of the world, especially third game of the season, having beaten Oshkosh the game before that. Obviously, you went out there to challenge yourselves this season. Of course, North Park wasn't as big a challenge as probably you expected. 101-68 was the win there. But you play all but 3 of your games in non-conference, or I should say all but 5 games, I miscounted. Was the mentality to go out there and just challenge yourselves as best as possible and maybe even push the SOS as a result?
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking, if you know you're going to have a good team or have a chance to get an at-large bid, you do look at the strength of schedule and the quality of your opponents. For us, a lot of our scheduling is done 2 or maybe even 3 years in advance with the budgets and the fact that we only have 5 non-conference opportunities, 23 total games instead of 25 for most conferences. It makes the non-conference scheduling important, but it also makes it pretty easy in the fact that you're only looking for 5 games. And then we host our own Christmas tournament every year, so that's 2 more games really off the docket. Now we're down to 3 games, and we usually schedule a good year or 2 years in advance.
Yeah, and of course most people have to make sure you're since you have so few games to work with, make sure you've got something to work with, as it were. Of course, you played Vitterboro, a non-Division III opponent. That kind of comes with the territory at times. But when you look at your conference schedule, I think sometimes the Midwest Conference has had some good teams but has not been that deep. It seems this year you got some good teams and maybe just a little bit of depth this year.
Oh, certainly within the conference. I know we're the only team currently ranked, but the quality and the depth within our conference, we're fortunate to be undefeated to this point. And then you have Ripon and Grinnell with 2 losses, and then there's a number of teams with 3 losses and a bunch more with 4 losses. So there's a big logjam there. There's a lot of parity within the league. And if you don't play well, anybody can beat anybody on any given night. So I think it speaks to the quality and the depth of our conference, even though you might not have that national notoriety.
Talking to Coach Grash here of St. Norbert. The team is having a terrific season to start, of course, 13th ranked in the country, and it begs the question, how much does that cause some buzz on campus? How much do you have to kind of keep the guys focused with that kind of news?
Well, with some groups, I think it would be a problem. With our group, they're a fairly experienced group. We start 4 seniors. They've been into the national tournament 2 times. So I think if this was maybe a couple of years ago, or if these guys were freshmen and sophomores, then you're really kind of guarding against that. But for the most part, our kids have remained pretty humble. We talk to them just about every day about remaining humble, staying hungry, concentrating on the process, but concentrating on it and just valuing each day as an opportunity to get better. So it's a pretty senior-laden group. We have some great leaders within the program. So they're pretty focused kids.
Talking to Coach Grash here of St. Norbert, the men's basketball team having a terrific season so far, as we've mentioned several hundred times here. Let's talk about the team a little bit more specifically, Coach. Brandon Grise leads the way, 16.8 points a game, hauling in 5 rebounds. Cam Cerrone, 16 points a game, 11.5 from Austin Elliott. Andrew Schwer.
Schwer, yeah.
Schwer, oh.
Schwer.
Okay, yeah. Schwer. Yeah, 14.3 points a game. That's the nuts and bolts of your offense. I mean, those 4 guys averaging 14 points or more. Certainly, it's almost like a 4-headed monster. You're outscoring your opponents by 14 points a game and shooting 52% from the floor and 43% from deep. It seems like this is an offense that is really clicking.
It is. It's our most talented offensive group we've had in my 8 years here. We have some very good perimeter scorers with Brandon Grise and Cam Cerrone. We have some inside depth, some guys that can score in the post. All our post guys are shooting above 50% from the floor. So there's not a lot of holes or weaknesses within our offense. Traditionally, we've been a very good defensive team, and that's probably the area we need to concentrate on the most and improve the most on is on the defensive end. But offensively, it's a pretty special group. And then you throw in the fact that our third leading scorer, Andrew Schwer, comes off the bench. You know, when he got injured, we were starting a certain group, and we really haven't lost. So it's kind of hard to make a change and just throw him in there, even though he was a starter. He was a starter last year, the entire year, and a second-team all-conference player for us. So he's coming off the bench. And then our fourth leading scorer, as you mentioned, Austin Elliott, also comes off the bench. So we do have a lot of weapons, a lot of different guys, a lot of different combinations we can throw out there.
Well, and you take advantage of the free points, 81% from the free throw line, and you're out-rebounding your opponents by 8 rebounds a game. I mean, it's all good numbers when it lines up. But, of course, you know, when the nuts and bolts of it are, you got to play conference play. You're a little over midway through on this one. This conference is lining up. You got a litany of different types of teams in here. From your vantage point, what's the biggest challenge you guys face in this conference?
Well, I think going on the road is tough. Within Wisconsin, you have the 5 Wisconsin schools are Lawrence, Carroll, Ripon, and Beloit. But then you have overnight trips where you go down to Illinois and Iowa. We've knocked out a couple of those overnight trips down to Cornell and Iowa, and winning at Grinnell was a good win for us. And then we had an overnight trip last weekend at Monmouth. We'll have one more overnight trip at Illinois College next weekend. So I think anytime you can go on the road like that on an overnight trip and steal some road wins, try to take care of business at home and steal some wins on the road. That certainly helps when you're trying to win a conference championship.
Talking to Coach Gary Grash here, and Coach, you know, this is a program that last year was 20-6. You've had a couple 20-win seasons. Of course, you're parked in a tough part of the country. You're most likely in the when we get to NCAA tournament time, should the Green Knights get there, you probably have some common teams that we could place you against. A CCIW squad, maybe a really good UAA squad, a WIAC squad, because guess what? You're in Wisconsin. And if they really want to treat you nicely, they send you to Minnesota, and maybe that's St. Thomas or somebody else. For you guys, as good as you have been over the years, it is tough to do anything per the NCAA tournament. But with all that said, what do you guys need to do to maybe get over the hump, as it were?
Well, I think anytime you have a chance to host one of those pods or a region, we've been fortunate to have been in the NCAA tournament 3 out of the last 4 years. We had a neutral floor win against Hope College, but then we had to play Stevens Point in the second round there. We played Stevens Point on a neutral floor, and then last year we lost to Wheaton on their floor.
Right.
So if you had ever an opportunity to host a region, host a pod, a first and second round game, I think your chances of advancing are greatly improved at the Division III level. People know Division I, those schools, they're all neutral site games in the NCAA tournament. But for us, those teams that host those pods in the regions have a huge advantage. So I guess if we were fortunate to win our conference tournament, get the automatic bid, and if the strength of schedule and the wins laid out that we were able to host one of those pods, I think that would be a great thing for us and give us a chance to advance. And then anything can happen from there. You look at teams that have won the national championship. A lot of those teams are coming out of the Midwest region with Whitewater 2 years ago, Stevens Point teams in the past. So if you advance beyond the Midwest region, you're going to give yourselves a chance to do something special.
Wrapping things up here with Coach Gary Grash here of St. Norbert, the Green Knights again 11-1, 7-0 in the Midwest Conference. You're on the northern fringe of the Midwest / really the Central region, which will be renamed. Of course, your reward is the WIAC comes to the region next year on the men's side. It's already there on the women's side. But this year, looking at the CCIW, looking at the MWC, looking at the SLIAC and however else it's compiled, how do you see the Midwest region shaping up? And are you guys one of the top dogs? Are you guys in par with the CCIW and the likes? Because there's people out there wondering, is this true?
Well, I think that kind of remains to be seen. I would say this: I would put the top of our conference against the top of any conference out there. It might not have gotten the notoriety nationally, and we have not done particularly well in the national tournament or advanced into the Sweet 16. But on any given night, I think we can compete with any conference out there. And that has been proven over the years with Lawrence, Carroll, teams like that. We were fortunate to beat Hope a couple of years ago in the NCAA tournament. So I would certainly put the top of our conference against anybody out there.
Appreciate you taking the time to join us, Coach. It's fascinating to see how you guys are doing and how this conference has evolved. I mean, Carroll a few years ago in the conversation for an at-large bid. We've certainly kept our eye on Lawrence. Monmouth's always been kind of part of the conversation for varying reasons, et cetera, et cetera. And it's nice, obviously I know you guys are thrilled to be kind of an 18-plus win team most of the time we see you guys. So it's nice to have you on the show and talk about it once again. As always, we give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with those who may be tuning in?
Yeah, no, I'm just thankful to coach the kids that we have in the program. I think they have a real passion for the game, and the only way that they're going to accomplish something special is if they sacrifice for the team. This is the most talented group that we've had, and I think all those guys are sacrificing shots, minutes, and those types of things for the betterment of the team, and that makes it really special and fun to be around.
Well, you'll be home against Ripon on Tuesday. We'll look forward to watching that game. I know you'll enjoy staying at home for a few days before getting back on the road for a couple more games in conference. Good luck the rest of the way. Good luck to the student-athletes, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon, I'm sure.
Thanks for having us on, Dave.
Take care. Coach Gary Grash joining us here on Hoopsville. St. Norbert Green Knights once again will take on Ripon on Tuesday in conference action, and then on the road against Illinois College and Beloit in conference play before returning home against Cornell and then going back on the road against Lake Forest. All those games in January. They only have that's pretty much how it works out. Again, 7-0 in the conference right now, have a 2-game lead on their opponents in that category. So we appreciate him taking the time to join us here on the show. Now let's wrap things up. I don't really have a rant kind of set up for tonight. Maybe we'll throw one in there Thursday. We've got a couple topics that are brewing, and we'll see what we can get to down there. Just wanted to recap kind of our big announcement that we tweeted out earlier today and, of course, talked about at the beginning of the show. We have started a fundraiser for this season, a little bit different, something we don't normally do, to say the least, and we hope that maybe you will help us in a way and be part of it. We've been asked by many people to do more with the show. We'd love to do more. Travel to the show. We'd love to travel more. We need to upgrade our computers, as you can tell, the video breakup. If you're so carefully watching the video screens, or just listening. If you're just listening, we should not be having any audio problems. But we want to upgrade our show and do better. And equipment ages, and we've been certainly had generous donations of some kind or another from the D3Hoops.com crew and the National Association of Basketball Coaches, and those have gone a long way. We have stretched those donations and contributions as far as we can stretch them. The NABC, once again, being a partner of ours, as you noted with the Coach's Corner earlier today, so certainly want to thank them. But we want to take an evolutionary step with this show. And many have asked why we haven't asked you for assistance in that category. And so we are asking you for assistance in that category if you are so inclined to do so. On our blog, on our Hoopsville show page, and on our Twitter account, we have tweeted out information on this fundraising effort. It is between now and February 9th. We are looking for contributions of any kind. If you can't do them financially, we certainly understand that, and certainly do not want to anticipate that you would do so if you can't. In that case, maybe you can just send us or spread the word about the campaign, or if you have other ways you think you would like to try and donate to the cause, we would certainly appreciate that. We explain in detail, and I will try not to do now because it's long-winded, what we hope to do with all contributions. We certainly don't want, we're not a non-profit organization, but I will admit I feel a little leery of profiting necessarily from your contributions. If we were to get sponsorships and the like, that would be a little bit different, and certainly that's money we could park aside for other reasons. But your donations mean something to us, and so we want to make sure those donations go for a real reason. So computer upgrades, technology upgrades, camera upgrades, getting the chance to maybe see the interviewees that we have on camera instead of just a still headshot of them, are things that we are trying to do to increase the show and the ability of the show. And so we've started this fundraiser, and we hope you may consider it at least, and if not, share it along the way. And already we've had 4 contributions so far today, and I certainly appreciate those. Let me tell you a little bit about perks. First and foremost, on this crowdfunding type site, Indiegogo is who we are using. If you are kind enough to contribute at least $10, we will recognize you on our special contributors page on our website. We will be putting a page together with everybody who's contributed. You will go on that list if you at least contribute $10. $25, we call it the Dribble Drive perk. You contribute at least $25, we will recognize you not only on that contributors page, but publicly thank you here on Hoopsville. We have 3 people to publicly thank here tonight before we are done. We also may add something to the Dribble Drive. I was thinking about it during the show. If you have a Twitter account, we will follow you on Twitter as well. We may add that to the Dribble and Drive. On the offensive rebound is our next level. It's $50, kind of like PBS here, everybody. The first 15 to contribute to at least $50 will be recognized not only on the contributors page, we will publicly thank you on the show, and we will send you a Hoopsville t-shirt by the end of the basketball season. This is the current shirt that we've had for a number of years. We are officially out of these. We are in the process of getting new shirts. Part of your contributions will help us do so. We will then send you one of these shirts. It has the website, a little slogan on the back. We've been told we should sell these, so we may even get extras to sell them separately. That is part of the $50 offensive rebound. Again, there's a Twitter component we may be adding to that as well. $100, we call it the slam dunk. The first 15 to contribute at least $100, we will recognize you on the contributors page, thank you on a future show, send you a Hoopsville t-shirt, and I will wear your school's shirt on the show and interview a men's or women's coach of your choosing. I would suspect it would be the one I am wearing the shirt of. You just get to choose the men or women's coach. We will do that by the end of the season. It doesn't matter the season that they are having. It does not matter their record. But we will make sure to effort those interviews accordingly. And then there's the championship level, which is a $250 donation to the cause. First 10 to contribute to this level will be recognized not only on the contributors page, also publicly thanked on a future show. We'll send you a t-shirt. I will wear your school shirt while interviewing a coach you're choosing, and you personally will get a chance to appear on Hoopsville to talk about your team and why you love Division III basketball. There are, again, 15 offensive rebound $50 categories you can claim before those run out. Doesn't mean you can't contribute that number. It just means the prize runs out. The slam dunk, there are 15 of those and 10 of the championship level. So far, 1 of the 15 at the $50 level have been claimed. 2 of the 15 at the $100 level have been claimed. And as a result, we would like to publicly thank those who have contributed so far on one of those levels. First and foremost, Ralph Turner, the first one to contribute. We appreciate his efforts in that. We thank you for your donation, Ralph, to Hoopsville. You have been a long-time friend of Division III. We certainly appreciate you taking the time. You were the first one. I know that was important to you, so thank you. Ted Stone, also a public thank you to you for your donation. Certainly means a lot to us. And then just a little while ago, Phil Nagley, who's associated with Messiah College, $50, the offensive rebound. I shouldn't have actually mentioned, Phil, how much you contributed. I apologize for that. But, Phil, thank you for your contributions. All 3 of you guys, I greatly appreciate. You will go on there along with a 4th contributor who will go on our contributors page as well. Again, if you can't make a financial donation, we completely understand. We are doing this because many have said we should, and we know there are some who do want to make a financial contribution. Please do not feel you have to. We are not going to cut back on how you can watch Hoopsville as a result, by no way, shape, and form. We're kind of like PBS. Just because I don't make a contribution to PBS doesn't mean I can't watch the programming on PBS. Hoopsville will stay here for everybody. Those who would like to make a contribution, that is the purpose of this. If you can't make a financial contribution, but you would like to somehow contribute or pay it forward, as it will, that's a horrible analogy, but a way of helping us out. There are many ways to do it. One, forward on this fundraising effort, if you don't mind, via Twitter and via Facebook. Phil did that for us, and I certainly appreciate that. Spread the word, as it were. On top of that, if there's things you think you would be willing to donate to us, I don't know what it is, you let me know. If it's a good or service or something you've thought of, let us know. We'll certainly think about it. By the way, Appleton Rocks, I just realized I forgot to ask your question. It got buried in the system on me, and I completely forgot to ask Coach Gary Grash that. That is my fault. I was just realizing that as I was going through my emails. Appleton Rocks, I will try and find a way to have that question answered down the road. I'm terribly sorry about that. That was completely lapse on my part. So back to the fundraiser. Again, please let us know if you want to help out in any way. Share your thoughts on it as well. Share it with others. We certainly appreciate any effort you would be willing to take on that. The fundraiser does go through February 9th, and here is the big kicker. We will be doing a 12-hour show on January 30th. It is a Thursday from 10 a.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. Yes, I'm crazy, but if you are contributing to us, I want to show you how much it means to us. We will do a 12-hour show. We will have guests from around the country. We will have guests not necessarily associated with Division III now, but it's part of their roots. We will tap into all of our resources to do so. You may notice there's nobody behind me, as it were. We will fix that, because if you do a 12-hour show, you're nuts if you don't fix that. So we will work to fix that and have people in here to help run the show as well. That is the plan right now. A 12-hour show, January 30th. It's a Thursday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We have many ways of thinking with this, but I think it's the perfect way to kickstart the last month of the season. We will get our first look at regional rankings the next week, so maybe we'll talk to the regional or the committee chairs, as it were, one more time quickly on that show. But this will be a chance for us also to maybe talk to schools we don't normally get a chance to chat with. Those of you who made the $100 or more contribution who would like to have me wear your shirt and have a coach of your choosing on it, we may have them on during that show. So thank you most importantly, to those who have contributed and will contribute, please look forward to that Thursday show. It is going to be a labor of love, to say the least. We are already working as we speak to book guests for that show, and we certainly hope you will participate in any way you can. We think Thursday might be an advantageous day, considering many people may be at work and can listen into the show. Some coaches will be in their offices and maybe they'll tune into the show. We may be able to have a nice audience for that program, and we certainly hope you will take advantage of that, as it were. So once again, thank you to all of you who have contributed so far early on in this campaign. The campaign's goal, by the way, here's a couple of little quick nuances. We have a set goal there of what we would like to reach. Go to the websites to find out what that goal is. If we do not reach it, we do get to keep the money still. However, our fees from the website are a little bit higher, so it's a little bit less advantageous. If we go meet that goal, we are welcome to go past it and continue to go past that goal. It is not something that is held in stone. So we are welcome to blow past that goal and more, and we will bank whatever money we do not use for future use, to be sure. Also, several may ask, is this going to be a yearly thing, or will we do further fundraisers? We would hope so. Probably won't have the same lofty goals we have this year unless we see it's worth it. But to continue doing the show the way we would like to, and to travel maybe with the show, those costs will be kind of be indicative that we need to continue to fundraise just a little bit. So we're trying to turn we are kind of turning Hoopsville into a bit of a PBS style show. We hope you don't mind. We hope you can contribute if you can. If not, again, share the word. That the word of the fundraising, that'll mean just as much to us as anything else. I think that's going to wrap up our show. We're into overtime. Don't forget, we'll be back on Thursday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We will focus on the Great Lakes, the West, the Mid-Atlantic, the East, and a little bit of the South region as well. Of course, our School of the Week. If you have a nominee for a School of the Week, a school we don't normally talk to or has done something pretty impressive, for example, maybe they're 0-10 and they beat a top 25 team. That should be a School of the Week, don't you think? Let us know. Nominate them. Email us at hoopsville@d3hoops.com or nominate them via Twitter or Facebook at D3Hoopsville on Twitter or using the hashtag Hoopsville. You can also use Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. That's all coming up on Thursday. Once again, I want to thank D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. As we start to fundraise, it makes me really appreciate what they have done so far and what they continue to do to support this show. And without them, we probably wouldn't be where we are today, to be completely honest. Again, go to our Twitter page, our blog, etc., to learn more about this. We will be pushing a little bit about the fundraiser in the coming days, a lot more than just this on the show, and we certainly hope you will push it as well. I want to thank all of my guests, starting with Coach Mike Strong at Scranton. Congratulations on Win 800, Coach. That is a terrific honor and a terrific career mark for yourself. Wellesley's Jennifer Kroll joining us. Congratulations to that team's 10-2 start on the season. Albertus Magnus is Mitch Oliver. Great always chatting with him. Find out how the Falcons are doing. Of course, Virginia Wesleyan's Dave Macedo winning number 300, all at Virginia Wesleyan. Coach Dave Macedo, a terrific guest, as always. Love chatting with him. SUNY Purchase's Jeff Charney, and of course, St. Norbert's Gary Grash. All of them joining us here on Hoopsville tonight. Appreciate them taking the time to do that. We'll be back with more Hoopsville again on Thursday when we have guests. We'll certainly let you know who they are. If you have any questions for us, again, on Twitter at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Don't forget on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. And of course, email Hoopsville@D3Hoops.com. You've been listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support of the show, and we'll look forward to talking to you Thursday night, starting at 7 o'clock Eastern. Good night, everybody.